Hey, it's Conor here. This last week I was teaching at IESE in Madrid. Took a few moments to go outside on the last afternoon and fly my drone around the place. There's quite a few curious onlookers watching as this little mosquito buzz took off to the skies above IESE in Madrid. A couple of weeks ago, in my notebook that I use to collect together ideas for these videos. I make a video every week, and making sure that I have ideas for each week can be hard. So I tend to carry a notebook with me at all times. I have an Evernote file here on the computer, and I just fill it full of every idea, every thought, every quote. And one of the things I started to do just to put structure in my mind was the ABCs of the good life. And what I'd like to share here is the A, B, C, D, E, F of the good life. So I've written down on a little sheet of paper here. A, B, C, D, E, F of the good life. 6 vital things for a good life. A is for action. B is for belief. C is for curiosity. D is for discipline. E is for energy, and F is for friends. Action. And what I mean by action is action, intentional action directed towards what is important to you. Not just busy action, but intentional action towards the goals, towards the values that are important to you. There's a matrix called the Eisenhower's importance and urgent matrix. There are things in your life that are urgent and the things in your life that are important. And the real danger of life is to do the things that are urgent but not important. The top quadrant, the things that are urgent and important, and the left quadrant, which would be important but not urgent, these are where you really need to spend more and more of your time and be intentional about getting out of urgent but unimportant and really getting into important, both urgent and important but long term. And probably important and urgent you will do. It's the important but not urgent that is really important for a good life. There's a saying from Jim Rohn, an apple a day will keep the doctor away. The problem is that just next to that apple is the donut. And if today you eat the donut instead of the apple, nothing changes. If all week you eat the donut instead of the apple, nothing changes. But 10 years eating the donut instead of the apple really starts to pay a big price on your body. And the apple, these are saying thank you, helping others, sending thank you cards. These things will never be urgent, but if you do them each day, it accumulates, and over 10 years from now, 10 years of eating the apple, 10 years of saying thank you, 10 years of being deeply interested in the lives of those around you, that is this action that I'm talking about. So intentional action directed towards what is important, not what is urgent. Second on my little list here, belief. I've been teaching for 16 years at the IESE Business School, taught over 40,000, probably 44,000 people have been in classrooms with me teaching. One question that I ask a lot is I ask people, what value would you share with a child as the basis of a good life? And it's probably worth you just pausing this video for a moment and reflecting. Of all the values that you could inculcate into a child so that over the course of their life, it would lead towards what would be a fulfilling life for that person, what value would you want to put in? And for the first 15 years that I was asking this question, my personal answer was integrity. But in the last 2 years, it's changed. In the last 2 years, the value that I would put down is what I call faith. And faith isn't blind faith. It's not closing down all arguments and refusing to see anything in contrary faith. But it's the ability to take a decision and commit long term to it. And I think we live in a world where it's very, very, very hard not to become apathetic, not to question why, not to see if I'm getting what I should from this. I think when I read the Surrender Experiment, which was a video I made a few weeks back, I'll link to it up here in a card. There's two things. One, Michael Singer just decided everything he touches, he's going to do to the best of his ability. If he says yes to something, he will put everything he can into doing it to the best of his ability. He will never question, am I being paid enough for this? Am I getting enough for this? Are the people around me giving as much as I'm giving? So one commitment was anything that I say yes to, I will put everything I can into the quality and the excellence of this work. If it's building a house, if it's writing a document, if it's writing a book. And the second thing was a trust in the universe. And this would be what I would feel that my word faith means. That to trust that you are where you need to be and the right things will be coming into your life. And if you pay attention and you're open, and we're moving on to our third thing that is important, that faith will serve. The universe has clues for you if you are able to pay attention and trust that they will come into you. The third of my words after action, belief, curiosity, an attitude of curiosity, an attitude of openness to not knowing. I spent most of the first 33 years of my life feeling that I was the smartest in the room. I had the best answers. If I did ask a question, it was a test of the other's smartness. It wasn't a question that I would be delighted to be surprised by something new. In the last 10 years, I've really cultivated an attitude of, in whatever room I go into, to make sure I'm walking in seeking to learn something I didn't know, seeking to be surprised. And when I ask a question, I want to be delighted by hearing an answer that I had never thought of. So often in a course I was teaching 3 weeks ago, one of the senior leaders, when we were talking about listening, said, when I ask my team a question, their answers are immediately limited by the range of possibilities that I can see. And I think it depends on the attitude with which you ask the question. People can tell whether you're asking a question to test them or you're asking a question that you would be delighted to see various other things. So curiosity, cultivating an attitude where you ask more questions, questions that are open, questions that you are delighted when you're surprised by something new. Now we've got 3. Action towards what's important, belief, trust in the universe, curiosity, asking questions. The 4th, discipline. There's an American Indian story where a young boy is speaking with his grandfather, and the grandfather explains to the young boy that each of us has 2 wolves inside of us, the good wolf and the bad wolf. The good wolf is caring, the bad wolf is angry. And the little boy asks his grandfather, which wolf will win? The grandfather says, the one you feed. And discipline, there's a saying, bad habits are so much easier to cultivate than good habits. The discipline to be aware of what are the good habits and what are the bad habits. Our evolution has designed a human being that's able to survive, but not to thrive, not to have a flourishing existence. If we don't learn discipline, we will survive, but we won't thrive. To thrive requires putting discipline around the bad habits and putting discipline around building the good habits into your life. It's so much easier to let a good habit slip than to let a bad habit come back into your life. So this discipline, this realization that if you can exercise conscious choice regularly around the things you're doing and just steadily increase the amount of minutes that go to the good habits and steadily reduce the amount of minutes that go to the bad habits, And again, back to an apple a day, it's not one apple that makes you a success. It's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of apples over a lifetime that leads to being a person that attracts success into your life. And failure is not one cataclysmic, terrible donut. It's the accumulation of bad decisions day after day after day for year after year. Any point that you are, a little bit more discipline will change the trajectory of your life. And discipline will always be hard. There will always be resistance. It will never become simple. But discipline has to be learned. There's a saying, there's no freedom without self-discipline. It's a very dangerous thing to find yourself in a state of freedom, a state of no boss, a state of abundant food, if you haven't learned the discipline to not eat the donut, if you haven't learned the discipline to do the good habits, to take care of your health. So action, belief, curiosity, discipline. RE is for energy. And energy is health. The quality of energy that you can give to the day depends on the way you take care of your body. Warren Buffett, one of the talks he says to a group of young people, imagine you could only buy one car in your life. Over the course of your whole life, you can only own one car. How would you take care of that car? It's going to last you from the age 23, 24 when you acquire it all the way for the rest of your life. How would you take care of that car? What type of fuel would you put into that car? How would you treat the paintwork? How would you take care of the motor? Who would you let work on the engine, on the filters? How would you take care of the tires? How often would you replace them? Would you let the engine warm up? Would you let it cool down? So if you only had one car in all of your life, you would take really good care of it. Well, our body is the only vehicle we get to carry ourselves around, is the only vehicle that we have for the whole of our life. There may be drugs coming, there may be surgery coming that may be able to improve when you haven't taken good care. But what we do know is this vehicle, this body, is the one that you do get. And again, it's never going to be urgent to go to the gym. It's never going to be urgent to eat less sugar and eat more vegetables, eat more fiber. It's always going to require discipline. But to treat your body, and perhaps what they say, that the sad thing about youth is that it's wasted on the young. If someone at 70 could have the body of a 20-year-old, they would take such good care of it. How do we convey to you and to me the importance, when we do have health, of taking the steps now to make sure that in 10 years' time, in 20 years' time, I still have the physical capacity and the ability to put energy into the important things that I want. And our sixth one, so if we have action, belief, curiosity, discipline, energy, friends. We don't do this alone. And I think the sad thing perhaps that Western society teaches is that success is an individual pursuit. An individual is rich because of the amount of money in their bank. And I don't think that's true at all. What all studies on happiness show is the most important contributor into a life where people say they are happy is the quality of your close relationships and taking care of those. Here, Jim Rohn often says, we will become the average of the 5 people with whom we spend most time. Who are those 5 people for you? Who are the 20 most important people in your life? How much time do you spend with them? Do you know them? Do you take time to understand what they are looking to achieve, what their values are, what their goals and their dreams are? And really seek to use your discipline, to use your curiosity, to contribute so that the people that have you in their life, years from now will say that your presence was vital for them to be able to live the quality life that they have lived. So there we have 6 letters, A, B, C, D, E, F, action, belief, curiosity, discipline, energy, and friends. The A, B, C, D, E, F of the good life. I'd love your comments, your questions. Where should I go deeper? I'm going to make more videos. Which of these areas would you be interested in me exploring more on? Have a great week. It's Conor here from my house in Barcelona. Have a great week. Thank you for your comments, subscribes and likes.